Hi everyone, I'm Shruti Kotalil, a research fellow working in India on biodiversity conservation. I have a bachelor's degree in zoology and biotechnology and a master's in environmental science. I've been working on marine conservation for the past 3 years with a focus on elasmobranch conservation and fisheries management. As you would all know, elasmobranchs is a subclass of animals that include the sharks, rays, and skates. Today, I'll be talking to you about my study that was published earlier this year in the Journal of Fish Biology. It looked at elasmobranch catch composition from different fisheries and gears from Malvan on the central west coast of India. Malvan is a small fishing town surrounded by the Arabian Sea and is characterized by different habitats from sandy beaches, mudflats to coral reefs, making it biologically rich. The fishery here is multi-day, multi-gear, and the commonly used gears include trawl, gillnets, hook and line, shore seal, and several other artisanal nets. Diverse marine fauna is landed here, which includes sharks, rays, and guitar fishes. To give you a bit of context, globally, India is one of the top shark fishing nations and has a tradition of elasmobranch consumption and harvest. In Malvan, elasmobranchs reported a decline from 1,071 metric tons in 2001 and 2 to 232 metric tons in 2011-12. Such declining populations can have serious environmental consequences, leading to shifts in species and habitat structures. Further, their unique life history traits make them more vulnerable to anthropogenic factors. The main objectives of the study were to understand the abundance of elasmobranchs in Malvan, followed by the catch rates of top three shark and ray species of the different maturity stages and sexes in different fisheries, gears, and seasons. This was then compared to a historical species list from the region to assess if there were any changes or shifts in community. This is important considering that Malvan is a relatively small fishery which is not well studied but still contributes to elasmobranch landing. The data was collected with Risha Gupta, one of the co-authors of the paper, over 3 sampling periods from 2018 to 2020. With this context, now I move on to some of the key findings of our study. So what did we find? We reported 27 species from Malvan, 13 of them being sharks and 14 rays. Sharks accounted for 70.5% of the total elasmobranch catch, which is more than majority. And out of the 27 species, 12 belong to threatened IUCN categories. And IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature who continuously release red list assessment of species. Now, in terms of numbers, trawlers accounted for 65% of elasmobranch catch, and majority were small-sized individuals. But the interesting thing was when catch per unit effort was considered, the highest catch rates of sharks was in gillnets and rays in artisanal. Now, catch per unit effort, which I'll be referring to as CPUE going forward. We identified top 3 shark and ray species, each to further assess the individual catch rates in different fisheries, gears, and seasons. We have detailed this in the paper and you can take a look at the link given below. For example, we found that rays had higher CPUE in benthic and non-motorized gears, while sharks had higher CPUE in motorized and pelagic gears. All except for spadenose shark had higher CPUE during the post-monsoon season, suggesting species-wise differences in breeding patterns. Further, we reported that a number of species like bull shark, blacktip, and scalloped hammerheads were captured almost entirely as juveniles and neonates in the present study. The presence of these juveniles and young of the year elasmobranchs suggests Malvan may be an important nursery site. Elasmobranchs, especially sharks, tend to show sexual and life stage segregation, with pups occupying shallow waters as nursery grounds until they mature into subadults. Nursery grounds, therefore, are productive ecosystems that allow rapid growth of neonates and provide safety from predators. Following this, our data was compared to a compiled historical species list from the larger region. Sawfishes, numbfishes, skates, bedfishes are noticeably absent from our study, along with some species of guitar fishes, rays, and sharks. Alarmingly, nearly two-thirds of the species have not been observed over the past 5 years, suggesting possible local extinction. Further, we observe that the abundance and dominance of small-bodied species may not simply be because Malvan is a nursery ground, but may also be attributed to the slow disappearance of larger, shallow-water species, leading to trophic cascades and mesopredator release. With declining predators, mesopredators can increase their habitat range while not necessarily filling the role of predators, resulting in changes to community structure and function, which leads to cascading effects. With continuous fishing, larger, shallow water elasmobranchs tend to disappear first followed by the dominance of smaller-bodied mesopredators, with Malvern showing similar signs, where the only abundant species caught are spadenose, bamboo sharks, and scaly whiprays. It could indicate a shifting community structure. Considering the decline of sharks and rays around the world and in Indian waters, there is a need to monitor such small and large-scale harbors everywhere. This was the first such intensive study that shed importance on the need to not group together elasmobranchs with other fish species for improved management, such as seasonal fishing ban that considers only fish species. As I end my talk, I would like to thank my co-authors without whom it would not have been possible. I will add a link to a paper in the description below, and since it is not open access yet, you can write into me via email and I can share the paper with you. Thank you all for listening in.